Oh, hi, Anouk. It's a nice jersey you're wearing.
I feel like I really look the Canadian part. Thanks for sharing the deck. Welcome, everyone. We're going to give a few people a chance to sign in. We'll get started in about 30 seconds. Got a big group today. Definitely a hot topic. Claude, everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, we asked Hugo how many people registered for the webinar, and he told us there were 99. So we decided we needed to wear hockey jerseys.
We felt it was very appropriate to honor the great one. So why is everyone talking about Claude, and why should you be? We, in the AI space, we're always testing various tools and products, and I have to say I haven't seen a hype quite as big as this one in the last couple of years, Brendan. I don't know about you, but a lot of conversation about this one.
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting. We've got I think part of the reason we're wearing hockey jerseys is because we've got a high tempo, high paced webinar for everybody today. And it might be a little full contact too. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see. We'll see. I have 3 brothers. I can keep up. Don't worry. All right. Well, before we get started, we have something really exciting in the works that we'd like to share with all the viewers. We're putting together the coolest, most informative, most transformative AI Summit on May 25th. We're going to be holding it at Steam Whistle Brewery, which is very much a heritage site in Toronto. We thought that would be a great venue to help support small to medium businesses within Ontario. So if you do not have your ticket, please scan the QR code if you're interested in joining. We're going to start around 11:30, and it'll be a whole afternoon of education. And the goal is to empower all the attendees to walk out with a clear plan on how to roll out AI within their organizations. Right,
Yeah,
Brendan?
I think we're over half sold out for it, or
We
half
are.
sold.
Yeah.
So we're anticipating in the next week or two, we're going to be fully sold out. Last year it was fully sold out. The interest and the interest to go beyond, like, a lot of AI stuff is can be a little bit superficial, right? And it's not focused on how to do things. It's not focused on use cases. We're going to give everybody a boatload of here's how to do it. Here's the way to do it. Here's how to adopt. Our summits keep on getting better and better every year. I'm super pumped about it. So it is a do not miss opportunity for sure.
I think probably the coolest event we'll have put together for sure. Yes, we just wanted to make sure you were aware. But before we get started, we're going to do a quick poll. So how well do you know Claude? Have you tried it? Are you experimenting a little bit? Are you green? Let us know where you're at. It helps us direct these webinars towards the group, the level of the group. And as you're answering, we're just going to keep moving forward, and we'll take a look at the results in a second. We'll just walk you through the agenda. So today what we're going to talk about is, what does the strong AI roadmap look like? What are the important components of it? What is the hype all about? Why is everyone switching to Claude? Let's dig a little deeper and understand. How do you want to get the most out of Claude? So where do you start, and how do you maximize the impact? We're going to go through a few use case scenarios we find will resonate with all of you. And then we're going to share some mistakes that we're seeing right now in some of the Claude rollouts of the way it's being approached. And we'll open it up for a Q&A.
Awesome. It looks like so far we've got a good chunk of people that responded. 56% have never tried Claude before. So we have some Claude virgins, I think, in the audience, which is exciting. We got 22% have experimented a little bit, and 22% are daily Claude users like you and I. So that's interesting. We got a really good mix here.
100%. That's great.
Okay, so let's get into it. We want to get right into it and get going really quick. So just wanted to frame out what we're talking about here. Let's start with what a good AI roadmap looks like. So a good AI roadmap has 3 parts from our perspective, and we've been since the AI explosion over the last 3 years, we've been working with lots of folks on their AI roadmaps and helping them guide through AI adoptions. And here's what we've seen that really works. We have an assistant strategy, an agent strategy, and a custom AI strategy. So 3 parts, your assistant, your agent, and then not every company gets to custom AI, but as you sort of move along, you tend to get there as you mature in your AI adoption. So the assistant strategy is really what we're talking about today. And it's not a question of whether you have an AI assistant. It's more which one to use or which ones to use. And we're seeing a lot more people using multiple assistants. Right? People have ChatGPT, they'll have Claude, they might have Gemini, they'll have Copilot if they're a Microsoft environment. And if they drive around in a Tesla, they might even use Grok on an ongoing basis. So the focus of this webinar is really from an AI assistant perspective. Is everyone starting to switch over to Claude? Because we started with ChatGPT, we have a lot of people that are using Microsoft Copilot and Copilot 365, but all of a sudden there's all this Claude noise, and people are talking about Claude, and like according to Anthropic, 8 of the Fortune 10 companies are currently Claude customers. But here's an even more striking stat. So Anthropic as a company has grown from 1 billion to 14 billion in the last 14 months. No enterprise software company has ever done that before. 1 billion to 14 billion. So it's just this explosion. And we can say anecdotally, when we talk to CEOs out there, when we talk to our clients, when we're out in the market, there is so much excitement, so much use of Claude. So we thought, what better way than to talk about, to intro, why is everybody switching over to Claude? So let's talk about it. Anouk, why? Why does everybody like this Claude thing?
I'd say communication is one of the major components, right? The way you converse with it. When you're conversing with a tool that feels very AI, that feels very robotic, you're less likely to work with it. By the way, attendees, I have a broken finger, so if you're wondering why my hand looks the way it does, I wanted to look the true hockey part. So quality of communication, it doesn't make you feel like you're working with a tool that is digital. You feel like you're bantering back and forth with someone at your level. And I'm saying that from experience, because I use Claude all the time. It also has the ability to deal with some larger context windows. So what happens is sometimes you can be limited with the information you can put within an AI assistant. So we're going to look at a couple examples here. Hugo, our marketing lead, ran a test. He worked with Chat. He said, look, I'm looking to cut out the discovery phase for one of our projects. What do you think? And then Chat's very agreeable, right? So right away, it'll spit out something very quickly. It agrees. It doesn't really challenge. And then if we move it over to Claude, you get a very different response. It feels much more human-like. You'll notice there's still the dashes, which are very much aligned with AI. You can instruct your Claude to not use the dashes, but it feels a lot more human in that regard.
Yeah, I think the difference definitely between the quality of the writing and the output, you can notice, you can feel, and it gives you a lot more comfort using it moving forward.
This is probably one of my favorite parts, is that it disagrees with you. We'll talk a little bit more in the project section of how I set up my projects, but having an AI assistant for your team or for yourself that is always agreeable does not propel growth, nor does it support coaching, nor does it support development. So what's nice with Claude is when I'm working with it, it'll challenge me. And you can, again, I don't want to get too far ahead, but you can set it up almost with your strengths and weaknesses. And so it can even meet you on your level to see where you're at. So right here, you can see that, you know, Hugo's looking to skip a discovery phase for a project. The goal is he wants to cut a corner. And right away, Claude is disagreeing. He's saying, this is not a good idea. It defers the cost of getting it wrong. And that, for us, is extremely valuable in terms of having a tool that challenges us and pushes us to the next level. Now you can see it think, this is a big one because we talk about the human feel, right? And the human component of interacting with an AI assistant. So if we keep going forward and Brendan plays this video, you can see right now, Hugo is prompting it about an HR question, and you can see the reasoning as it's answering so that you feel like it's more collaborative. All of a sudden you're working with a tool where if you see good hiring decisions usually come down to one question: what does failure look like? And you go, oh, you know what, it's going in the wrong direction. You can stop the thinking midway because you're working with your AI assistant versus it just getting an instruction and giving you back a response. And then it won't confidently make things up. So that's also asking it a question about our finance. And if I were to put that through chat, it would try to invent it. It would look up Techify, it would try to invent some data. Whereas Claude bluntly says, I don't have access to this information, so I can't produce the answer that you need. And that's also extremely valuable when you're using an AI assistant, because if you're not getting accurate information back, it's misinformation leading to misinformation. So another great component of why people are using it.
People would ask Brendan, and then Brendan will say, not enough.
Correct.
All right, let's talk about the next reason. This is my favorite reason, and so this is why I get to talk about this ChatGPT. ChatGPT Copilot. I really enjoyed my interactions with it, but then I started using Claude, and it just goes from talking to you to actually doing. So here's an example. We were so we work with people on their AI roadmaps, and we've been trying to convince everybody to deploy assistants across their company, and we've been struggling having people do this. And say, hey, we're going to invest and we're going to deploy an assistant across our company. So I was trying to figure out a way to better show the value and the ROI. And I was working with Claude, and I built an ROI calculator. And it's this thing is HTML based, so web browser based, hundreds and hundreds of lines of code. And here's what it does. It allows me to, with a client, input how many licenses that we're going to invest in. Allows us to put in what's the composition of their team, how many executive, admin, staff, sales, finance, customer service, that sort of stuff. Put an average hourly rate cost, and then it will output the total potential, the number of hours it could save a year, and the value of that, and the ROI. So 23 times. And so for folks, every once in a while we talk to folks that are maybe sort of challenge that and say, well, that sounds like a really big ROI. And what Claude has allowed me to do, with a lot of kind of working back and forth, is get a lot more detail. So it went out and analyzed research from McKinsey, it analyzed research from Stanford, from Microsoft, and it put together an overall savings per position. So if we gave an executive an assistant, they could save 2.5 hours a week, salesperson 2.5 hours, finance person almost 3 hours a week. And then that sounds pretty good, right? But if I'm skeptical, I want to know, well, what do you mean? So built out a whole bunch of use cases that further describe, hey, if we do the following things, if we do meeting summaries and action items across our team, if we draft emails, and then it breaks down per position what the different use cases and how many hours it could save, and what's the end financial benefit, cost, opportunity to that. So in the old days, if we were doing something like this, I would need to hire a development team to come up with this. And with Claude, what I was able to do is essentially spin it up myself over the course of a weekend, and then take the output of it and hand it over to Hugo, our marketing person. So absolutely amazing that it can create something that's really valuable, and it's really valuable for our clients. The next reason folks have started using this a lot is there's a lot of integrations. And now the quality of the integrations, it depends on the integrations, but you can very quickly, like I plugged it into our HubSpot, which and it gave the different prospects we haven't reached out to in a while that have been engaging with our marketing content, and we should be reaching out to them. We also connected it into QuickBooks, and the integration with QuickBooks is not fantastic, right? The Microsoft 365 integration is quite good, and it has the potential to challenge Copilot and Copilot 365 moving forward in terms of the value and the output. And a lot of these integrations can be spun up pretty quick and just connected in really quickly. And reason 4, and this is a newer one, fraught with some, a little bit of, I'd say fraught with a little bit of danger. Cowork. So Cowork takes Claude from being a chatbot to being a teammate. Cowork, it'll actually operate within your files and your applications. It'll operate on your machine, and you can start delegating. You can have it do things. You'll plug it in directly to your tools, and the more you work with it, the more you get a sense of it. We would say be careful with this one, right? Because we have to say, okay, what access are we going to give it? Because if you give Cowork access to OneDrive, for example, and tell it you want to organize OneDrive, it could change around all your folders and all your setup in OneDrive and just do that for you. So you need to be a little bit careful with this. It's a good idea to start with low risk tasks and look at the output of them. And then keep in mind, it is still in beta. So it's impressive, it's super cool, but it's not perfect. So we have to be a little bit careful about this. So it gives you some areas to look into, and some of the reasons that folks are looking at Claude. So I think where we're going to go from here is we want to talk a little bit about how to get the most out of Claude. And Anouk, we came up with 5 ways to get the most out of Claude, right?
100%. Before I start with the first one, I just want to add one point to your Cowork for the viewers. Cowork, think of it, it's a locally installed part of Claude versus what a lot of people are using is the cloud-based. So I just wanted to make that differential for the viewers who may be less technical, where if somebody within your organization is installing Cowork, it should absolutely not be done without reviewing with IT from a security and compliance standpoint, because like Brendan said, it's opening the doors and giving the keys to your kingdom. So I just wanted to add that quick stipulation.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue into what we're going to talk about next. And by the way, we have so much content, so many ideas for you that we're flying through this stuff. But please post questions in the Q&A panel or in the chat if there's stuff that you want us to dive into. We're going to try our best to make sure, or we're not going to try our best. We are going to make sure that we have time at the end to answer questions that come out of this. So here are 5 ways to get the most out of Claude. First thing first, get a company plan. Most folks that are on this call are running businesses or operating within businesses. We got to have a company plan. We don't want our team members to be on individual or personal accounts, because if they're on personal accounts, then we can't control what the access to those personal accounts. We can't control the data, and there's a boatload of risk there. So you want to channel in your inner Oprah and give everybody a license, right? Imagine you're walking around the office. You get a license. You get a license. So just to give you a bit of a sense of what that means, you'll see if you go onto Claude, there's a pro license, which is the individual license. Max allows people to do a lot more. We really want the team license. For most folks, I think, that are on this call, or probably all folks that are on this call, we don't really need to move to the enterprise licensing yet. That's sort of that's next level of usage and capabilities. This team license is really where you want to go. So $27 a month if you're paying annually, $34 a month if you're billing monthly. And then what it allows us to do is have AI transformation the right way in our companies. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to have AI adoption. We're trying to have it do it properly, so you can decide what the integrations are. For example, when we set it up for our clients, we set up the integration with the Microsoft environment, the security group setup. We centrally manage usage limits, and setting a usage limit is a really good idea, because if people go crazy with this sort of stuff, which it's kind of addictive, and it's kind of amazing, right? So that's our public service announcement, warning. It is addictive. You could start to love Claude. If you don't set usage limits, people could potentially cost you a whole bunch more money. The sharing controls, what can be shared within an organization, how people can share different things. You're going to see some stuff on projects coming up. And there's a central management of connectors, data retention. Like anything in the IT world, when it gets advertised, everybody says, hey, it's cloud computing, it's super easy, just set it up. But there's a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes that if we don't set up properly, it creates risks or functionality issues for our company. So make sure you are working with somebody. And if you reach out to if you're working in an MSP or IT department, you reach out to them and they don't know how to set up Claude, that should be a bit of a red flag for you, right? Everybody needs to be to be able to deploy AI properly. Okay, cool. Anouk, do you want to talk about projects?
Yeah. So when you create a plan for AI rollout, as per Brendan, you want to make sure that everybody's paddling together and working with tools collaboratively within your environment. Projects is one that we use very much at Techify. So what is a project? It's a private workspace where you can teach Claude who you are. So you set it up, and you'll see in the next slide an example of a project that I've set up for our team. So we have one-page communications with our clients, and we want to make sure they're using our language, our brand guidelines. So I've set up the project with the instructions on what is the objective, what is the tone, what are the branding documents I want them to refer to, and then I'm able to share that with our other consultants. So we're now all using the same project to create client communications. You can also set up your project. I was talking previously about being challenged. So quickly, I set one up to prepare me for my one-on-ones with Brendan. And I put up our culture indexes. I put up all my KPIs, my strengths, what I'm working on. And I can now work with this project as a coach. It's fantastic.
So Anouk, I would just add to that, the power of projects is really, if you're just dealing with your assistant, your chatbot, it's going to keep some memory, but the quality of your responses and the quality of work isn't going to be anywhere near as good. Your example here is great because you've put all of our branding into it, and it just leads to a way more powerful output. And then what you get with it is it's like a well-trained employee. So think about an employee on the first day of work versus somebody that's 3 months in, if you've trained it better. I want to give a personal example here on the project front that I got a lot of value out of, that I thought might give people a little bit of another sense of projects. So the visuals here are just dark mode versus light mode. I set up a personal finance project, and what I did is I trained it. You can see the instructions. You can see the memory there. I said, hey, I want to upload my budget. I want to upload my last 12 months of credit card transactions, bank statements, and I want you to analyze those and give me feedback on my spending. And then I want to be able to upload my monthly bank statements and credit card expenses on a monthly basis and look at it versus my budget and see how I'm doing. And it's essentially created this personal finance assistant for me that's giving feedback. And I think the other thing with projects that I just wanted to mention, if you look at this example, or you look at Anouk's example, a lot of people were creating agents to do this sort of stuff. And now with the way Claude is set up, it's sort of less, you don't have to create agents as much. It's more built in. You can create projects instead.
Yeah, and I would say also we're very human focused at Techify, right, when it comes to AI transformation. And if you're setting your team up with tools, and these tools are set up properly to support their workflows and has the information properly within projects, it's a game changer in terms of the user experience as well.
Yeah. So if we're going to use Claude, if we don't use projects, it's like you're only using 10% of it, right?
100%. Setting up your profile. So think about, you get this beautiful luxury car and it's not ergonomically set up for you, right? You're 6'6", it's set up for someone who's 5'6". You want to set up your Claude profile to serve you, right? What's your tone? I am very warm when I email. I would never sign an email regards. I want to use certain language. I want it to challenge me. I don't. So you want to take the time to set up your profile. And Brendan, it amazes me the amount of people who don't do this with AI assistants.
Yeah.
It's literally mind-blowing. Yeah.
So you've put, so this is what it looks like. You go down to the bottom left corner, go to settings. I added how I've set up my profile into this. And so if you want, you can have it call you whatever you want. If you want it to call you baby, or if you want to say, don't call me baby. Yeah, queen. Yeah, queen, boss, whatever. You can set that up. But the real important part is those instructions. So you see, my instructions are be direct. I don't want preamble. Get to the point. No flowery language. No, like, don't tell me that's a great question. You're wonderful. I don't care. I want to get to the point, and that's me. As you even see in the instructions, I'm logical, not emotional. Don't muck around with me. And when you're doing this sort of stuff, it's like this is a new skill, right? We're not really used to teaching AI. So when you're not sure what to do with AI, what do? We ask AI how to do it, right? So here's how I created these instructions. I asked Claude to create the instructions for me, and ask me whatever questions it needed to know, so that it creates a much better profile, and the quality of the answers and how it's talking to me are way, way better. Another thing that you want to do in your setup is you want to enable capabilities, right? So capabilities, again, are under settings, and you can even see in the top left. So you go to settings, bottom left, and then capabilities are in that left-hand side there. And it gets you can pick, do you want to have artifacts? Do you want to allow visualizations? Do you want it to have access to tools, or do you want to limit that? And then how it deals with memory is another piece here. We generally want to have memory. We want it to learn. We want it to get better. And one of the things that everybody should do when they're using Claude is every once in a while go back and check the memory and see, so is there anything in the memory that is not up to date? So maybe you start using Claude today, and 6 months from now, your company is 20 or 30% bigger, or you've changed something in your company, you've changed staffing, or you've changed your position or your role. And the role bit is, I should just kind of rewind back to the profile bit. Another good bit on the profile is when you're setting it up, if you're a project manager, you want to let Claude know you're a project manager. If you're a CEO, you want it to know you're a CEO, because it will change the type of responses you get. And the memories along those lines. And the other bit I just wanted to point out that's at the bottom there, see where it says import memory from other AI providers? If you click that start import, it will give you a prompt to, if you're used to using ChatGPT, it'll give you a prompt to take the memory from ChatGPT, and then you'll cut and paste it into Claude. And then your switch from one AI assistant to another will be much quicker and much more effective. So
a lot of people have that fear when they switch platforms as well, Brendan, right? They're scared to lose all the background they've had with chat.
Yeah, and I can tell you from tons of people I've talked to, the move back and forth, it's really not that big a deal. Like we talk about moving between AI assistants, like moving between web browsers. like we've over the course of the last 25 years, we've all moved different web browsers to unleash the power of the internet. We will throughout the next 25 years go back and forth between all of these different AI assistants, and we'll see that the skills to use them are very similar. It doesn't matter if we're using Chat or Claude or Copilot or that sort of stuff. Also want to point out, you can decide whether you're going to let it create code, execute code, create documents, PDFs, different things like that. That's part of the capabilities, you can also limit it to what domains it's allowed to access and stuff like that. So there's a whole bunch of capabilities in there that you can decide whether or not to let it do. So, so folks are doing some training here, which is good. What if they want to learn more?
Well, Claude has some built-in courses within its platform to support users. So we're just giving you a screenshot to show you. One thing I support as the CIO for a lot of our clients, one thing to keep in mind for all our viewers is everybody learns differently. So this is one way of learning. Some people learn way more by being taught by another human, but you can also start to create projects within Claude to coach using Claude, right? Using some of their sources. So there's so many opportunities when it comes to learning how to maximize the impact. And if there's one thing we hope you remember is be intentional about how you set it up and the understanding your team has, because it'll transform the experience when you're using it.
And Anouk, maybe just give people a bit of a heads up of how to find this training.
So when you go online, you're going to just type in, you're going to go to the Claude URL, and you're able to just go into their training site. You can see on the left, you can filter as well through the products, and click on the subjects that are most important for you.
Yeah, bottom left, generally the bottom left of the screen when you're logged into your Claude account. If anybody has any trouble finding it, we can give more directions. Okay, so let's maybe do a little bit of a quick hit, maybe a little power play of ideas for using Claude. So here's some examples. So everybody is sort of asking for use cases. So here's one example. I have a board presentation in a couple days. Help me structure the narrative and stress test my numbers.
Another one is we're thinking of expanding into a new market. Can you do some research and give me a go or no go recommendations and discovery?
Yeah, you could turn an organization's 200-person organization's HR manual into a simple Q&A tool that staff can actually use.
And when he says simple, he means simple. It actually creates a simple. That's a big one. Building a browser-based job costing tracker for our construction projects. No developer needed. I know we have some developers on this webinar, so that's a big time saver.
Yeah, huge time saver. Like, think about all these things that we want to create that are custom for our business, and we can just create them. We don't have to hire development teams. Here's another example. We lost a bid last week. Help me figure out what went wrong and what to change.
Analyze our last 3 months of expenses and tell me where we're overspending. That's a big one.
Ooh, finance people, you could generate beautiful recommendations and analysis, and it doesn't take that much time to do. Here's a great one. Not as much of a fun one, but hey, I have a performance issue with a team member. Help me prepare for that conversation. It's like be my thought partner.
AI, it has changed my life in terms of that use case. It's a great EQ coach in terms of preparing for different conversations. Write a project status update for a client based on these messy notes from our site manager. Quick stipulation here. You can literally just take a picture, right? You don't have to retype the messy notes. So you can take a picture and then pop it into your prompt.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mentioned this a little bit earlier with HubSpot. Here's one. We haven't called these prospects in 6 months. Help me build a re-engagement plan for how to reach out.
And then summarize this 50-page vendor contract and flag anything I should be worried about before signing. And just a quick note to support what we were saying on projects, look at all these prompts and ask yourself, if I don't set up my project with my company values, my objectives, kind of my role, am I going to get the best bang for my buck when I do the prompt? And you won't. But if you set it up, these prompts become a game changer because it understands the way you work and what your priorities are.
Okay. That's a great list of examples. Thank you, Hugo, for putting that together. That's great stuff. Okay, let's talk about some of the mistakes that we see over and over again, that we see people making. So we're all so excited about this AI. We want to implement this AI. We want to go and do it. We got to make sure we got the scaffolding to support our teams, right? So we got to make sure that we talked about how to set up Claude, for example. We have to set up these assistants. We have to make sure the security is good. We have to make sure that there's training, that there's supervision. If you left your employees unsupervised with no training, no development plan, no feedback, what's the quality that you're going to get out of that team, right? So we're deploying digital labor here. We want to make sure that we deploy the digital labor effectively and with scaffolding.
Leadership plays a huge role in AI, and not just saying, hey, use AI. I'm your leader. I want you to start using AI. You want to model by example, right? So what happens is you want your leader to be on the AI bandwagon, but you also need a support team to help roll it out. It is change management, right? We're asking people to change how they work. If there's not a plan, guidance, and a team to support the leader in implementing it, you're not going to get the impact and value you want.
Yeah, and we've seen there's also research on this, and we've seen just in our experience, the stronger the leadership, the more it's coming from the C-level in driving AI adoption. The more AI adoption, the more impact there is. And mistake number 3, we see this all the time. People are like, it's just AI is just a tool. Just like spin out an agent for us. Just deploy an agent. And if you're thinking AI is just a tool, if you just want to have, a little bit of AI out there as a proof or use case as a test, you're missing the point here. PwC has this really good 80-20 rule. We've talked about this before. Technology delivers 20% of the value. The other 80% comes from how an organization adapts. So if you look at AI as a tool, you're looking at it from 20% of the value. If you look at overall how your organization adapts and how you're going to take this amazing power of AI and get it deployed across your organization, that's where you're going to start to have some big impact. So the last thing we wanted to talk about is how to properly adopt AI, right? There's the what, and then there's the how. We're not going to talk about the how too much in this webinar. We're happy to talk to you about it as a follow-up, but the what in this case is Claude. We want to use Claude because it's got all these capabilities. The how is really how do we get our organizations, how do we get our staff, how do we get our people adopting AI? So we've seen there's 5 phases of AI adoption. As people start to get going, a lot of people early on start in that sort of playtime phase, right? We're going to try out some different things. We're going to create some different pictures, maybe with our friends, show them some fun stuff. Maybe we're going to create a song. Maybe we're going to create something else interesting. Then we're going to move into the AI curious phase, where a lot of businesses are at right now. They've deployed some licenses, they've tried some stuff, and the curiosity has been piqued, but they haven't quite moved to that intentional phase. And that intentional phase is where we have a plan, we have a roadmap, we have a way of implementing AI, and we've thought it through, and we're moving forward in a very intentional way. And when we move forward in an intentional way, we create a cultural change in our companies. And that cultural change leads to our staffs being super powered by AI. It leads to AI being part of the conversation, the brainstorming, the planning. The people don't come to your door asking you questions before interacting with AI to think through those questions. It's sort of foundation. It's almost like AI becomes a little bit more native to your organization. And eventually organizations move into this transformational phase where the old metrics don't apply anymore. Our revenue per employee, our utilization rate, our effective rates from a professional services perspective, your customer service quality, the output, it's a completely different level than what we're achieving today. And the way we get intentional about AI adoption is by putting three things in place. One, we start with the strategy. We have to have a technology and a data strategy. We need to have a roadmap for AI. And part of that is identifying the use cases. How are we going to use it? What's our assistant strategy? What's our agent strategy? What's our custom AI strategy? And so we create that overall AI strategy, and then we make sure we have the structure, right? The scaffolding to support our teams, making sure you have a success team, make sure you're brainstorming those use cases, you're piloting them, you're testing them through the organization, you have training, you have the analysis of what's the impact of these things, where are AI implementations having impact, where are they not having impact, right? And then we've got to have the people to support, right? There's new positions. There's a digital transformation. There's an AI specialist position that's so important. Somebody to lead your AI strategy. There's a digital workforce manager position that we talk about and that's the person that actually does the technical work, that configures the AI, that rolls out the agents, that configures Claude, that does the analysis and support for the organization. We got to make sure we have that cybersecurity expertise for our organization, and we got to make sure we have that success team and the right people in the right spots. So we have so much that we could talk about with AI adoption, but we really wanted to focus this webinar on Claude. But if you want to kind of drive forward, if you're sitting there and thinking, okay, I love this Claude thing, I want all my people to be using it, I just don't have the bandwidth internally, or I'm not really sure how to roll it out, that's where we come in. And we've got something where we start with people. We put together what we call the Techify appraisal, and that allows you to really assess where your company is at and where AI can create value for you. It's a guided evaluation. It's not that painful, I promise. It's 30-ish questions that we'll go through. We tailor them to us, and we analyze where your business is at, and then we'll give you a 12-month high-level roadmap of where we think you should go from an AI perspective. And we'll take you through that ROI calculator. We'll take you through some use cases, and we'll talk through based on where you're at. The other thing we'll do is we'll identify any blockers that are going to stand in your way, right? Like that big old server in the back of the server room that nobody's decommissioned or gotten rid of. Maybe that's going to be a blocker for you moving forward. Maybe a weaker cybersecurity approach or reactive IT will be a bit of a blocker. We'll help you walk through. This is a $5,000 value from a consulting perspective, but because you're wonderful enough to join our webinars, we are happy to provide that cost. You can either email us back or you can go to that QR code there, and we'd be happy to help you out.
Awesome. So we're going to end with a poll. What's the first thing you guys are going to do post-webinar? We're curious. So what jumped out? So you can let us know. And as you're filling out your responses, I just want to add one point to what Brendan was just talking about in terms of the AI appraisal. We were talking about strategy and structure and people. The one thing that I have learned in my role is that the first two don't work if the third one's not in place. So you can have the best strategy, you can have the best structure, but if your people aren't on the bandwagon, it's not going to work. So the human element is the one businesses have the less control over unless they're intentional about how they're supporting their team. So we've got a few responses coming in. Security fences, I love it. Ring fencing, great.
Yeah, we have some people want to try out Claude. Good to see that the preferences and the profile stuff got through. That was good.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. We're happy to stay back a little bit and answer some questions as well.
I think there's been a lot of stuff going on in the chat, so we're gonna come in a sec.
And then we'd love your feedback. We do these. So if you just in terms of content, in the direction of our strategy for the next quarter. And feel free to also emailing us or putting in the chat any kind of webinar topic recommendations you might have, something that you're interested in learning about. We do these for you, so we love the feedback.
Yeah, and Anouk, I didn't see, there was something missing from one of the first actions that people are going to take coming out of this webinar.
Work with Techify?
Well, yeah, it could be just like hire us. That's a great idea. But here's another one.
AI Transformation Summit. We'd love to have you register, because think about it as this is a bit of an intro. We're going to go deep when we talk about this at the AI Transformation Summit. So we're going to have some keynotes about strategy, structure, people. We're going to have some prompting workshops. We're going to take you through some of the pivotal transformation projects our Director of Innovation has built for Techify, literally game changers. And all of that will end with a beer out of the official steam whistle truck. So lots of learning and fun to be had on May 25th.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at the Q&A panel in the chat. I see there was a question about recording. We should probably just mention this at the start of every webinar, but every webinar gets recorded. We send out a link to the recording afterwards. So if you thought it was useful, if you missed some stuff, if you want to come back to it, there's a recording. You can have members of your team watch this and that sort of thing. There's lots of so it's recorded and it will be there for you. All right.
So we had a question also about broadcast messaging to a large group. So you can think of it almost as a bit of a message architect. Raksha, the limitation and the answer we can provide is this also depends on what Claude tool you're using, right? So if you have CoWork installed in your computer, you'll be able to achieve different things than if you're just using the assistant part of Claude. It can really support in adapting the messages, but it can't integrate directly in your broadcast tool necessarily. We don't know what you're using. So Brendan, I'll let you add to that, but there are some limitations in terms of that.
Yeah, look, I find the interesting thing is, so we're recording this, and if somebody watches it a week from now, this answer might not be correct. So the abilities of these different tools are continually changing, and I'd answer it more from sort of a process related thing, that it's important that you have somebody that can answer these questions for you on an ongoing basis. I'd want to understand a little bit more of the use case, why, what the need is for the broadcast messaging, how it fits into the overall workflow and that sort of thing. I think the capabilities are there in some cases in CoWork if you want to give it access. There's some things that you can do there, but we want to be really careful with how we roll out that sort of stuff. I think there was another question about how to have AI auto reply to email, and the question was to look at email and then draft. I believe it's to draft an email. And there's some challenges with getting it to do that on a regular basis. I think so. Our experience on the email side, like you can use some of these tools to integrate with your email, look at your email box, and on a sort of on-demand basis, we'll create emails. Depending on the more specific you get to what you want to do, the more it gets into the world of either creating agents or even custom AI. For example, we have an application, a ticketing system that when people put in support requests, they will email them in. And so we create that will read those emails, that will analyze those emails, that will provide kind of guidance on where to go. And we did that through Copilot Studio. I think if I read Paulo's question correctly, that the challenge is the output or where stuff is going. And we need to dive into that a little bit more with you and sort of understand how you've created that and how you're doing it. But there's lots of capability out there, whether you're using a Copilot or you're using a Claude or looking at Claude Cowork or that kind of thing.
A lot of times those are also customizations, just also, yeah.
I think we had some licensing questions too, and people were asking. I think they've been largely answered in the chat, but those licensing costs were Canadian costs. The licensing costs, there's all sorts of there's promos that run on a regular basis. Licensing costs can change. All of these, there's a lot of competition right now in the space. So, but usually you can get a lower licensing cost if you commit for a year, which is where that, I think the $27 a month comes from. If you go on a month-to-month basis, a little bit higher. But I think if you're gonna start looking at this, you may want to commit for a little bit of a longer period. Really depends where your company's at and how many licenses you're deploying.
I was listening to a podcast preparing for this webinar with the founder of Anthropic, and one of the things he was sharing kind of honestly is that they released Claude not realizing that some of the super users, like at one point they had super users using $6,000 worth of Claude and paying $200 a month. So I just want to support what you're saying, where there is tweaking going on with the pricing models. This is a very recent podcast every week because Anthropic is trying to also adapt to this newfound being the most popular kid in the schoolyard, right? So they're not used to having that popularity. So it will continue to change for sure.
Yeah, and it went down yesterday too. It was driving me nuts. I was trying to do some stuff and it was all of a sudden down. So, when a capability or company like this is scaling fast and changing fast, every once in a while the reliability might be hit a little bit. Okay, I think we've answered all the questions. Unless anybody, oh, Debbie has a very nice, that's a nice comment. Thank you, Debbie. The question about understanding of minimum business licenses, Frank was just asking about that. I believe that's a good question. I don't think
it is. I believe, yeah,
5?
it is 5 licenses.
Okay.
The usage limits is tricky where I know that because when I got my license, I got kicked out because I was using it too much. I think there's an element, Frank, in the way that you set it up, right? So you play a role in setting up the usage limits for your company. But the great advantage is that then when you're creating projects, you can collaborate with other people. So I can send you an email with some more details about how we would approach it.
Awesome. All right. I was just about to cut it off and then those 2 other questions came in, or 1 comment, 1 question, but I think we're good now. Do you want to close us out, Anouk?
I just want to say thank you to everyone for your time. We're really lit up by these topics and we hope you learned quite a bit. And as you're transforming on your AI journey, we just ask that you think of us because nothing fires us up more than supporting, the businesses within Ontario to be as powered up as they can. The AI is not going anywhere.
Great stuff. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Ciao. Enjoy your day.